I woke up in the hospital after a serious car accident. My mother demanded I be discharged early, ignoring medical orders, all to save money. 2 days later, they went on a luxury vacation and left me alone at home, still injured. But when they came back, someone else opened the door and they went pale. I woke up with a ringing in my ears and pain coursing through my entire body. I was in a hospital bed, a tube in my arm and a cast on my right foot. My head throbbed as if someone had hit it with a hammer, and my chest was covered in bruises. I didn't remember much, just flashes of headlights, a swerve, and the crunch of metal. A car accident. That was all I knew for sure. The door opened, and my mother walked in, looking annoyed. My father followed, with his usual not-my-problem attitude. My sister, as always, was nowhere to be seen. "Finally, you're awake," my mother said, but she didn't sound relieved. She sounded irritated. "Do you know how much it costs to be here? We can't stay forever." "What happened?" I murmured, my voice raspy, barely able to think through the headache. "You crashed into a truck," my father said, crossing his arms. "Your fault, according to police. The insurance covers some, but not all." My fault? I tried to remember, but my mind was a mess. "The other driver's fine. Don't worry about that." My mother cut in. "The important thing is getting out of here. I talked to the doctor, and he says you can leave soon if you improve. We're not paying a fortune for this." A nurse who had just walked in frowned. "Ma'am, your son has a concussion, a fractured foot, and contusions. He needs rest and observation. It's not safe to discharge him so soon." My mother glared at her like she was a nuisance. "We're not spending thousands of dollars, so he can sleep. He can rest at home just fine." The nurse tried to argue, but my mother shut her down. She's always been like that. When she wants something, no one can stop her. I was too dazed to fight. I just wanted the pain to stop. "Listen," my mother said, looking at me, "if you stay, the bill will be impossible. You already authorized us to use your savings account for emergencies. This is an emergency, but we're not spending everything for a few more days here. My savings account, years of working at supermarkets, delivering food, saving every cent to get out of the house for college. That money was my future. They knew that. I'd signed an agreement for them to use it only in extreme cases. A hospital was an emergency, I guess, but something in her tone felt off. "Don't worry," my father said to a nurse, who still looked disapproving. "We'll take care of him at home. We're his family." The nurse sighed and wrote something down. "I'll talk to the doctor, but I don't think this is a good idea." When she left, my mother sat by my side and touched my arm, but it didn't feel like affection, like she was making sure I wouldn't contradict her. "Everything will be fine," she said. "At home, we'll be together. No need to spend so much." I nodded because I had no strength to argue. Everything was spinning, and I just wanted to sleep. The next 2 days were hell. The doctors wanted more tests, but my mother was at every meeting, pushing for my discharge. On the 3rd day, they gave in, not because I was ready, but because my mother signed a paper taking responsibility for me. The nurse gave me a list of instructions. Absolute rest, no weight on the foot, take the meds, return if I felt dizzy or had severe pain. "Take care of yourself," she said quietly, like she knew something. My father drove me home in his truck. The ride was torture. Every bump felt like a punch to my battered body. When we got home, my mother helped me to my room, but as soon as I was in bed, she left, saying she had things to do. My sister didn't show up. I assumed she was in her room, but I didn't check. That first night was awful. The pain in my foot wouldn't stop, and the bruises made breathing hurt. The hospital meds ran out fast, and when I asked my mother to buy more, she said they weren't cheap and to tough it out. There was no prepared food, just some cans of soup in the pantry. With the cast, I could barely get to the kitchen, and cooking was impossible. The second day was worse. I woke up with a headache that made everything spin. I called my mother, but her phone was off. My father didn't answer. My sister, as usual, nothing. I was alone, lying in bed in an empty house. Then I realized something was off. The house was too quiet. No sound of my father's TV, no footsteps from my mother. I dragged myself to the window. leaning on the walls, and looked out. My father's truck was gone. My mother's car, too. They'd left. I thought maybe they'd gone to do something. But then I saw a message from my sister in the family group chat. A photo of her on a beach with a cocktail in hand. First day of vacation. This is a life, it said. Vacation? My family had gone on vacation, and I was here, injured, with no food or meds. I tried not to panic. Maybe they'd left something for me. I dragged myself to the kitchen, but there were only the same soup cans and a half-used carton of milk in the fridge. Nothing else. I made it back to my room, sweating from the effort. Then my phone buzzed with an email from the bank. I opened it with shaking hands. It said someone had withdrawn almost all my money. $15,000 gone. Only a few hundred left. The transaction was authorized by me, but I hadn't authorized anything. Then I remember my mother in the hospital. You already authorized us to use it for emergencies. But this wasn't an emergency. This was theft. I stared at the phone, rage burning inside me. It wasn't just the money. It was everything. Forcing me out of the hospital, ignoring the doctors, leaving me alone and injured while they went to a beach, using my money, my future, like it was nothing. For the first time, I saw my family for what they were. They didn't love me. They saw me as a cash machine, not a son. I couldn't stay like this. Despite the pain, I made a decision. I wouldn't let them get away with it. But I needed help. I couldn't do it alone. I searched my phone until I found Javier's number, a high school friend now studying law. We weren't super close, but he'd once told me to call if I needed anything. Well, I needed something now. Hi, Javier, I said when he answered, my voice shaking, but I didn't care. I'm in big trouble. Can you help me? I told him everything, the accident, the hospital, my mother, the vacation, the money. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, there was a silence before he spoke. That's insane, he said. What they did is illegal. Negligence, financial abuse, maybe theft. We can do something, but it'll be tough. Are you sure you want to go against your family? I looked at my empty room, my battered body, thought of the years I spent saving, the times I let my mother manipulate me because she was family. There was no turning back. Yes, I said, I'm sure. Okay, he replied. I'll contact a lawyer I know. We'll get this moving. But first, you need to take care of yourself. Do you have food, meds? No, I admitted. Okay, I'm coming over. Don't move. We'll fix this. When I hung up, I felt something I hadn't in days. Hope. I wasn't alone. My family had turned their backs on me. But I wouldn't give up. I'd get my money back, my life, and I wouldn't let them trample me again. Javier arrived a couple of hours later, carrying a bag with food, sandwiches, water, and some pharmacy painkillers. I was lying in bed, my foot throbbing, a headache clouding my thoughts. Getting to the door was a struggle, but I managed, leaning on the walls. You look like a train hit you, Javier said, half joking. How are you still going? Badly, I admitted, collapsing into a chair. Thanks for coming. While I ate a sandwich, I told him everything again in more detail. The accident, the hospital, my mother forcing me out, the luxury trip, my empty account. Javier listened, his face shifting from shock to anger. This is a crime, he said when I finished. They didn't just abandon you. They stole from you. We can build a case, but we need proof. Do you have messages, emails, anything? I pulled out my phone and showed him the bank email about the $15,000 withdrawal. I also had family group chat messages where my mother talked about the trip and told me not to worry about the account. Now I saw it clearly. It was all planned. This works, Javier said. I'll talk to a lawyer I know, Clara. She's good with abuse and fraud cases. But first, you need a doctor. You can't go on without treatment. I don't have money, I said, and I don't want to go back to the hospital. My mother still has access to what's left in my account. There's a free clinic nearby, he said. I'll take you. No choice, man. I couldn't argue. Javier helped me into his car, and every movement reminded me how broken I was. At the clinic, a doctor examined me and looked serious. You have a mishandled concussion, she said, and your foot's swollen. You need rest and meds. Who took you out of the hospital like this? I told her about my mother. The doctor, visibly upset, wrote it all down. That's negligence. I'll make a report. If you go to court, this will help. She gave me a prescription for painkillers and anti-inflammatories. Javier paid for the visit because I had nothing. Back home, the meds helped a little, but the anger remained. It wasn't just the money. It was feeling used my whole life, like a cash machine for my family. The next day, Javier set up a call with Clara, the lawyer. I could barely sit up, but I joined from my bed. Clara was direct, her voice inspiring confidence. I've reviewed the evidence Javier sent, the bank emails, the messages, the medical report. It's solid, she said. The unauthorized withdrawal is financial abuse. Taking you out of the hospital is negligence. Leaving you alone like this is abandonment. We can sue for damages and recover your money. We can also request a restraining order if you want to keep them away. A restraining order? I hadn't considered that. Yes, I said. Your family isn't caring for you. If we proceed, they'll try to manipulate you. Are you ready for that? I thought of my mother's emotional blackmail, my father silently backing her, my sister only thinking of herself. Cutting them off sounded harsh, but staying with them was worse. I want to go forward, I said. The lawsuit, the money, everything. I don't want to depend on them ever again. Okay, Clara said. We'll draft the documents. We need your medical history, the emails, and any messages. I'll also request an audit of your account to see where the money went. Javier gave me a thumbs up. You're doing great, man. This will be tough, but you'll make it. The next few days were a race. Clara worked fast, and Javier came by every other day with food and help with basics like washing the dishes I could reach. He lent me some money to survive, though I felt bad taking it. I swore I'd pay him back. One night, I saw a new message from my mother in the family chat. Back soon. Behave and don't do anything stupid. It set my nerves on edge. Did they know something, or was it just her way of controlling me? I showed Javier. Don't respond, he said. Save everything as evidence. Let Clara handle it. I nodded, but I couldn't shake the knot in my stomach. I knew when they returned, things would get ugly. My mother doesn't give up easily, and my father always takes her side. My sister would probably cry to play the victim. A week later, Clara called with news. We traced some money, she said. Your mother transferred it to her account and paid for a trip to Sri Lanka. We have records of a luxury resort. It's direct proof they used your money for their vacation. Can we get it back? I asked. Yes, she said. We'll request an order to freeze their accounts and recover what's left. We're also preparing a lawsuit for physical and emotional damages. With the evidence, the case is strong. That gave me relief, but also anxiety. I was close to getting mine back, but my family wouldn't stay quiet. They always thought I was weak, that I'd fold. Not this time. Javier took me to a follow-up at the clinic. The doctor said my concussion was improving, but the foot would take time to heal. She gave me another prescription and a new report for the case. Back home, I checked my email and saw the bank had frozen my account by court order. Clara didn't waste time. I smiled, imagining my mother's face when she found out. That night, Javier stayed to watch a movie to distract me. We ate pizza he brought, and he said, I never thought you'd have the guts for this. You were always the quiet one. They underestimated me. I said, but that's over. He raised his soda. To not letting them trample you. I clinked my glass. To that. The day my family returned, I was in my room, reviewing papers Clara sent. I heard the truck in the driveway, and my heart raced. I'd waited for this moment, but now I felt nerves and determination in equal parts. The door opened, and my mother's voice rang out like nothing was wrong. We're back! But then I heard other footsteps, not my father's or sister's. It was Clara, arriving right on time, a folder in hand. My mother went white. My father looked lost. My sister dropped her phone, mouth agape. Who is this? My mother stammered. Clara stepped forward with a calm that was intimidating. I'm your son's lawyer, and we have a lot to talk about. My mother turned pale, staring at Clara like she'd seen a ghost. My father, behind her, looked confused, brow furrowed. My sister, with her phone still on the floor, let out a whimper. I was at my bedroom door, leaning on the crutch Javier had gotten me, my heart pounding. Clara, with her folder, didn't flinch. "Lawyer? What is this?" My mother said, regaining control, her voice sharp like when she wanted to dominate. But Clara wasn't me. "I'm your son's legal representative," Clara said firmly. "I'm here to notify you of a lawsuit for financial abuse, negligence, and abandonment. We also have a court order to freeze your accounts until the case is resolved." My mother was speechless, rare for her. My father stepped forward. "A lawsuit? He's our son. What kind of joke is this?" Clara didn't budge. "Your son was removed from a hospital against medical advice, left alone without food or meds, and his savings account was drained to pay for your vacation. That's illegal, not a joke." My mother turned to me, eyes blazing. "You? How dare you? After all we've done for you, you ungrateful brat." I wanted to respond, but Clara raised a hand. "Don't complicate things, ma'am. It's all documented. Bank emails, messages, medical reports. I suggest you get a lawyer." My sister started crying. "This is your fault," she yelled at me. "You always ruin everything." Her tears didn't move me like before. I'd spent days alone, injured, while she posed on a beach. I didn't care about her drama anymore. Clara handed them an envelope with legal documents. "You have 1 week to respond. If you contact your son directly, you'll violate the temporary restraining order. Everything goes through me." My mother snatched the envelope, trembling. "This isn't over," she hissed, then looked at my father. "Let's go. I'm not putting up with this." They stormed out, slamming the door, my sister trailing behind. Clara turned to me. "That went well," she said with a slight smile. "Now comes the hard part. Prepare for them to try to guilt-trip you." I nodded, still in shock. For the first time, I felt I wasn't under their control. The next few days were intense. Clara worked tirelessly, building the case. We had solid evidence. The clinic's report on my concussion and fractured foot, the bank email showing the $15,000 withdrawal, my mother's messages about the trip, and my sister's resort photos from social media. It all proved they used my money for luxury, ignoring my health. Javier remained my support, bringing food and helping with basics like cleaning what I could reach. One night, while eating tacos, he asked, "Were they always this selfish?" I thought of my childhood, my mother controlling everything, my father silent, my sister getting her way with tears. I was always the one working, saving, asking for nothing. "I guess so," I said. "I just didn't see it clearly until now." "That's not family," Javier said. "You did right to stop them." Clara kept me updated. The bank audit showed my mother transferred the money to her account, then paid for flights, a resort in Sri Lanka, and expensive purchases. She also moved some to another account, likely to hide it. Clara got a court order to track those funds. The negligence case was strong. The clinic report said my concussion could have caused serious damage without treatment, and my foot swelling could have been permanent. The doctor who treated me was ready to testify. The financial abuse was the heart of the lawsuit. Clara explained that while I'd authorized my mother to use my account for emergencies, a luxury trip wasn't one. It was clear theft, and with the evidence, we could recover money and seek damages. A week later, Clara called. "Your family responded," she said. "They have a lawyer, but their defense is weak. They say the money was for family expenses, and you agreed. They also claim they didn't know you were that bad." "Family expenses?" I said, incredulous. "A 5-star resort?" "Exactly," Clara said. "It's a ridiculous excuse. We have the records and photos. No one's buying that." She warned me my mother would try to contact me despite the order. "She'll want to make you doubt yourself," she said. "Don't respond. Forward everything to me." She was right. The next day, I got a message from my mother. "I can't believe you're doing this to us. We're your family. How can you be so cruel? We just want to talk." I felt a pang of guilt, but ignored it. It was her usual trick. I forwarded the message to Clara without replying. The case moved fast. Clara presented the evidence at a preliminary hearing. The judge was impressed by the documentation and issued an order to return the remaining funds to my account. He also set a final hearing for damages and a permanent restraining order. My family didn't attend the preliminary hearing, but their lawyer did, claiming I'd exaggerated my condition and the money was for family benefit. Clara dismantled it with a medical report and resort photos. The judge didn't seem convinced by their defense. My health improved slowly. The meds helped, and my concussion was nearly gone. The foot still bothered me, but the doctor said it'd heal if I kept caring for it. Javier took me to appointments, and I started moving around the house more. One night, Clara called with news. "We won the first part," she said. "The judge ordered $12,000 returned to you from your mother's accounts. The rest they spent will claim as damages. The final hearing is in 10 days. $12,000? I said, surprised. "That's a lot." "Not everything," Clara said, "but it's a big step, and with a restraining order, they can't approach you." I celebrated with Javier that night. He brought a non-alcoholic beer due to my meds, and we watched an action movie, laughing like I didn't have a cast on my foot. It was the first time in weeks I felt light. The final hearing came quickly. I was nervous, but Clara had prepared me. I testified about the accident, the hospital, how they left me alone, and how I found out my money paid for their vacation. The clinic doctor spoke, explaining the risks of removing me from the hospital. Clara presented the evidence, emails, messages, photos, bank records. My family's lawyer tried to make me look bad, saying I was a rebellious son exaggerating for revenge. Clara shut him down with facts. My mother, in the courtroom, wouldn't look at me. My father looked uncomfortable. My sister didn't show. The judge ruled in my favor on everything. He ordered them to pay $4,000 more for damages, on top of the $12,000 recovered. He also approved a permanent restraining order. My family couldn't contact or approach me without legal permission, or they'd face fines or jail. I left the courthouse with Clara, feeling a mix of relief and emptiness. "You did it," she said, smiling. "Now you can start over." A month later, things had changed. With the money, I paid Javier back and rented a small apartment. It was simple, but mine. My foot was healing, and though I sometimes dream of the accident, I felt stronger. I started looking for jobs and planned to resume my studies, something my family always belittled. I didn't hear much from them after the trial. Javier said my mother tried to contact him, crying and saying I'd ruined her. He cut her off and said he wanted nothing to do with it. I blocked them all on social media and my phone. I didn't need their excuses. Sometimes I wondered if I'd been too harsh. They were my family, after all. But then I'd remember those days alone, injured with nothing, while they spent my money on a beach. They weren't my family. They just used me. One afternoon in my new apartment, Javier came over with coffee. He showed me a post from my sister, complaining life was unfair. I laughed. Let them complain. I wasn't their bank anymore. "To a new beginning," I said, raising my Ada. Javier clinked hers. "To not letting them trample you ever again." And so I closed that door. The future was uncertain, but for the first time, it was mine. I could decide who I wanted to be.